All right, Joan, it's really good to be with you this morning. Thanks for taking your time to join us on our
Oh,
podcast.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
I know you're busy
Yeah.
and we're busy, but it's important to take time out like this to really get to know you and I. We've known each other for years,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
We
Yeah.
go back a ways, and we're both busy. You're busy in real estate and busy with family. I'm busy in the lending world and family. But to take this time out, I truly appreciate you jumping on with us.
Oh, I enjoyed the opportunity.
By way of a formal introduction, and I wrote this down so I don't mess it up, you are the broker of record for the Bornstein Real Estate Group, which follows your name. That's wonderful.
Correct. Yes, yes. This is my 21st year in real estate.
Wow.
And my 9th year as a broker. And I've always been with different companies, and it just happened after I renewed my license in 2020. We were hit with COVID, and just before that, I had invested a lot of money in signs and went off on my own.
I remember your
Feeling
signs.
right. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be interesting. But we got through that, and it was a good experience, and having to really be boots on the ground.
Yeah. So 21 years ago, you started in real estate. What prompted you to want to get into real estate? I know it goes back a ways.
Yeah,
but
it does. And I was a IT analyst with NEC Corporation in Santa Clara, California.
Oh, yeah.
And they were moving their corporate office. We had been sold off to NEC America, and they were going to Sacramento. And not my favorite place in California
You
to
were
be.
not going to Sacramento, were you?
And I couldn't move my family and everything, so I started trying to think about what I liked about the position I had and what I hated. And I hated sitting at a desk for 12 hours a day. It's just not my style.
Don't blame you.
And every opportunity, I climbed the stairs somewhere. But I did enjoy being a liaison between the legal department in hardware and software contracts, which were renewable, every year, every 2 years, depending on the licenses we had. And I also liked the negotiation. Well, we had 125 licenses. Well, only 2 people are using those licenses. So, we need to cut back on those. So, it was a give and take. And I always enjoyed looking at properties, and my daughters were getting further on where they could be by themselves after school for a period of time. So I started taking classes at the local junior college, and still not sure about, is this just a salesman job, or am I really going to enjoy this?
Yeah.
And I got through it and passed the exam, and started with Intero that had just been introduced. And that was 2004, April. And Gino was actually my instructor at the junior college.
Oh, wow.
And he said, well, my Saratoga office has got plenty of room. Why don't you go and interview? And I did. And it was a great experience. The one thing that I think he did for agents was to set up a initial schooling. So you paid $350, and you got 2 weeks of contracts, how to set up things, how to come up with your list of contacts. You got a professional photo and a couple of signs.
So you've already passed your real estate test.
Right.
Which is one of the big epic fails after you pass a test. What's next?
Right,
so
exactly.
this is brilliant.
It was brilliant, and I really felt that gave us confidence. The other thing that really helped is the office was set up with cubes, like in your area, and I would sit there and listen to seasoned realtors setting up appointments, how they approach their clients, and that really helped me. I'd say, okay, they call them, it's going to be a Saturday, they lay out I've got 5 listings to take you to, and that was a wealth of knowledge. And also the manager, broker of record there, although there's only one broker of record for Intero, all of Intero, he was very good about answering questions. You'd go and you'd say, oh, well, well, what made you think that? You're pretty much on the hot seat. But it was a great start to my career. It really, really helped. The other two parts of that is that in California, we may use the same contracts in Northern California and Southern California, but how we close that contract in escrow is different. Yeah. It's a bilateral contract in Northern California, the Bay Area. And so you are often at escrow with your buyer or seller, or both, go on different times. Right. And you learn what questions they ask and how you can help your client with that, and how you can review the HUD with your client to make sure that those charges are correct.
Yeah.
And that was a whole education in itself. So by the time I moved here, I felt comfortable that I could move from the Bay Area to Southern California and make that transition. Unfortunately, the financial collapse happened at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And I could not sell my home in the San Jose area, and so took it off the market and then flew home. I still had listings at that time.
So you'd go back and forth.
Yeah, I'd go back and forth. And so it took a while, and it made you really try to understand what contributed, what happened, and the pitfalls of putting a property on and not knowing what your market value is. Because then you would sit there and write it down. And so I think that it was good to have a break, to take it off the market at December 2008 and move and then fly back. And it was fully staged, and I called the stager back and said, let's take a different view of this property and maybe change things a little bit. Yeah. And we started getting interest, but it still took to May of that year to get a contract.
Wow. So you've had quite a bit of experience, not only with Northern California, but now with Southern California. And what's interesting is in all of this experience, do you ever feel like you know everything?
No. No, never. And that's one thing, whether in the business 21 years or 1 year, our whole MLS system is changing right now. It's a whole new software. Take classes. There are webinars. There's all kinds of training that goes on, and a lot of it is free. So take advantage of that. CAR themselves, California Association of Realtors, has tons of webinars and tutorials. Yeah. Take advantage of them. It's really important when you're a new agent, understand the contract you're going to present to your clients and address their questions. Because if they see you faltering, they're going to be like, wait a minute.
Is this what I should be working with?
New, but do you know what you're doing?
The confidence meter goes.
Exactly. And define your own style. When you're first in it, how do you approach clients? And one thing I learned actually from a younger agent at the time is ask for that referral 3 times.
Yes.
First time is when you found the property for them, the offer's accepted by the seller, and you say, hey, so things are going well, you're happy with this. And they're going, oh, yeah. And I said, I'm so pleased that you like the quality of service and you let it be. And then once you start closing escrow, ask for it again as you're standing there or when you see them next.
Do you know anybody I can help, or that
Right,
kind of?
exactly. Do you need any help moving, cleaning, whatever? Be that inclusive agent.
One-stop shop.
Right, exactly. And then afterwards, send them a copy of the HUD and say, put this in a safe place for when you have your taxes done.
Yes.
And I so enjoyed working with you. And if I may ask, could you please take a few minutes and draft a referral letter for me?
Great.
And then, first anniversary, send them a card. But you should be storing, you don't want to be that realtor that's this month. They're not going to turn around and buy another house, but are they going to refer you to their friends and family and have that confidence that you know what you're doing?
Oh, that's great.
And always be pleasant and be kind. They're nervous. It's
a scary process to many.
It's a very scary. Well, maybe we should back out. What can come up? And you want to calm the situation down. Don't be confrontational. Like, what do you mean? We're here.
I've worked so hard.
Right, yeah, exactly. And utmost, don't count that commission. Yeah. Because I've had them be at the very end and they collapse. And then you're really disappointed. It happens. Life happens. So those, but definitely stay on top of things. I think two areas that, as a younger agent, and for me when I moved here, I went to broker meetings at least 4 days a week. Mm-hmm. I tried to go through all the areas,
broker previews and all of that.
Broker previews, but also like Irvine was very educational.
Yes,
and you would learn more things, but you meet the players, and if you were to turn an offer in, they might, if they get to know your name, say, "Oh, yeah, I know her. I met her. Yeah, she's always at broker preview."
Yeah,
and it gives you an idea of the area, and you want to make that an educational trip for you. What's the housing like in North Irvine, South Irvine? There's something like 17 zip codes just in that one area. Rancho, Dove Canyon. You want to explore them all so you can be at least the person who has that information.
Yeah.
You're not just segregated, I only do Dove Canyon. It just doesn't work. You're going to, in bad times, there's not going to be any listings. In good times, there's going to be a lot.
Right.
So, but venture out. I've gone as far as Torrance, and as far down as San Clemente, and over to Yobalenda.
Those are nice areas. Nice areas to help people in.
Right, exactly. Yobalenda is a great community. It's growing and really expanded for people who do need to commute to the Los Angeles area or, any area in between there. And that's true of Torrance as well. And really great communities to live in. I think Yobalenda is a wonderful family area, but it has a lot of business too.
It's those are beautiful areas you described, and you were as you're speaking about those areas too. It calls to my mind is why should people work with you, Joan? What sets you apart? I'll put you on the spot a little bit because it's not easy always to talk about ourselves, but introspectively, it's good to look and say, well, why should someone work with me? What's my value? What do I bring to the table? So I use that for referral purposes.
Right.
I want to send a client to you, and I think to myself, well, this is why they should work with Joan over someone else. So what do you think?
Well, I approach it in a manner of trying to, if I know the area, that's great, the plans of the homes. But I usually tell a prospective seller, I'd like to come in and walk through the home with you and have you tell me what you feel are the great features of this home and what it offers to a buyer, and make notes. And I come in with also usually an Excel sheet, which shows the last 3 months, 6 months, year, 3 years of properties in that radius.
That's excellent.
That what their market value is, and
coming with helpful data.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they hear, oh, they got $1 million for that property, and they just sold it in 3 weeks, and then you go back and find out, well, it was actually $1.5 million, and then it went through 3 reductions, and then they went and used a new realtor. And so you want to set the record straight in a very conversational manner.
Sure.
Don't be confrontational.
Right.
Don't say, well, this doesn't lie.
Yeah, the numbers are here.
Right here. But the numbers do tell a story. And with my past career, I just found that it's something that people can digest easily. Don't make it this compound,
here's
fractional,
a 15-page report.
Right, exactly. You can point out, well, this property, if you read through the bottom section of the MLS that doesn't hit the public market, they actually had a brand new AC and furnace and a newer roof. And so, right there, that's quite a bit of money. Yeah. If they have solar on their roof, let's make sure that we promote that, because people are looking at lowering their utilities.
Sure.
Especially if you have, kids and they're taking showers. You've got water and, the furnace or watering, your water heater going, which is gas. So those are usually what I present. And then together, I'm not going to dictate a price to a seller. These are 3 values. This is my favorite. What do you think? Please include them.
Yeah.
You have to make them part of the process so that we're a team. And please do not let somebody come into your property and not hand you a card at the door, because that is unsafe.
Yes.
Second of all, I want them to use the lockbox. That's what it's there for, to record their data. Mm-hmm. And third, if it's not a good time, say I had requested a 4-hour notice, because if you've got dishes all over,
right.
And look, it happens. You get really busy and you want to make sure that it looks top notch. I know in my own home, when I did have it for sale, the stager was like, you can't take a shower and leave any bottles out. You got to put everything away. I was just terrified that she would, think I hadn't prepared properly. But first impressions, I'm sorry, they do matter.
They absolutely matter.
Right,
Yeah.
And if you've got a barky dog, maybe either outside or maybe someone within the family can take them for a walk. I know that I did do a few open houses in my own home at that time. And my poor dog, I would put her in the car with all the windows in the garage.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to go in the car.
Oh, it's open house time again.
Right, exactly. But, you just, and calm music. You want to create a calm home. Yeah. And people pick up on that.
Oh, yeah. What I'm hearing from all of this that sets you apart, Joan, is that you are big on education, on data, on getting their input, getting them to see the value of trusting you and your years of experience as a homeowner yourself, and as a person who's helped so many people get into their new homes or sell their homes. And what that does is it builds confidence, builds that trust. And once you've done that, now they say, well, if I'm going to use them, of course I'm going to refer other people. Joan was amazing. And she made the process, she thought of so many things that I would have never thought of, so that our house will sell for the price that we want, or maybe even a little higher.
Yes.
So those are wonderful suggestions.
You want to keep that open, and trust and confidence of the seller is so important.
Yeah.
It really is, because you do want to be a team, make sure that you return their calls. Sometimes it's a quick question, and I always say, just text me. I'll get you back an answer. Because you don't want them sitting there all day long. Oh my gosh, when is she going to call me
Right.
back? And a lot of times it's just a quick answer, and you can say, you know what, let me get that question answered by escrow. I have a really great team, and it took me, when I arrived here, it took me 3 years to build a team of a title person I had confidence in, a escrow officer that knew her stuff, and
important.
treated my clients, not only my seller, but my buyers
Yes.
and that agent in a really courteous manner, and a home inspector that I felt comfortable with, and these maybe a stager who just comes in and says, gee, why don't you get some colored pillows here,
Yeah.
or have
Yeah.
a great rug like this. And take that bookcase out of the hallway. Really,
Sure.
that's what you want. You
Yeah.
want to do it in a kind and gentle fashion, but you want to say, we want to come out of that horse race really sharp.
Yeah.
You
Get
know,
out of the gate quick, but
Yeah,
making sure it
exactly.
catches the eyeballs of everybody.
Exactly, and be able to answer questions at the open house. I tell new realtors, if you're going to do an open house, spend a little time, know what the best schools are, or schools, greatschools.com. Have some facts about the area, because every time they ask you a question, other people are listening. And you say, well, gee, I really don't know. Well, I really don't know. And I'm not making this stuff
Yeah,
up. I've
it
gone
happens.
in, and it's like, that's just basic.
Yeah.
Know your basic information, and that will give you confidence to be friendly. Don't walk around after them, but make sure you understand. If you've got a really, really large home, you should have 2 people there.
Yeah. I've seen that many times.
Yeah, it's you want to give a list to your seller before you have your first open house. Take any drugs out of your medicine cabinets,
Yep.
laptops, anything that can walk out of that house easily,
yeah.
please put away.
See, that's good. That is really, that's fine tuning. That is another point that sets you apart, because there's so many, I think, either newer agents, sometimes even seasoned agents, they forget about those finer points.
Oh, absolutely. And I will tell you, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but my first open house of my home in San Jose, that evening, I'm brushing my teeth, and I look in the medicine cabinet, and I think, God, it looks different.
Oh, no.
And really, no. True story. And I'm looking, and I'm thinking, oh my God, all the drugs that were in there are gone. And
No.
I felt awful, and
Yeah.
I had a manager say, you didn't remember to take the drugs out? And I said, no, I was so busy
Like, I
trying to
didn't
make
think
sure the
about that.
staging
Yeah.
that I really didn't. And so you want to make your lesson a lesson for people you work with.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to the inside of your seller's home, if they have a lamp that they inherited from great Aunt Martha, have them take it down before you go on the MLS. Because I've bought lamps, I have bought, because
Anything
then
that gets knocked over, broken. Oh.
Right, it's the end of the transaction, and you're in escrow, and you walk in, and the seller has taken the lamp down, and you're going, excuse me? Oh, no, I didn't mean for that to be up there.
Oof.
Get it all out, and if you are going to leave it, it can't come down, have a sign. The kitchen lamp is not included in the sale of this property.
Yeah. Be clear, be
yeah.
specific, be transparent. Those are all just such really good, not only reminders, but points that set you apart from so many others to work with. And I want to shift just a little bit. And, we're always interested in growing our business, because that's what we do. None of us want to stay stagnant, and we're always interested in not only our repeat business from our current customers and who they would refer, but even when we meet people at networking events or whatever it may be, new business. And so maybe you can, here's what we'll talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce. We're both part of the Mission Viejo Chamber of Commerce. You are now a longtime member of our board of directors as well. I'm sure, I know that time's gone fast. And as a fellow board member, we're all assigned to kind of lead and head up various aspects of the chamber for the benefit of other business owners that see the value in the chamber. And so can you tell us a little bit about some of the assignments and duties that you have as a chamber member and a leader?
Thank you. I think that how you run your business, your integrity, stick to details. Don't give someone information that you're really not confident, especially as it relates to the proceeds of a sale. You can say, gee, escrow usually prepares, the HUD, so a seller will have a certain amount, but that's up to the seller to hire a tax person to help them.
Sure.
Because if you say the wrong thing, and so that's true when you're meeting people, if it's an area, if it's a lease for a commercial property, I'm versed in that. But if you don't know that, don't say, oh yeah, I can do that, because it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And I think that being on the board has given me a better idea of how other businesses operate and where their bottom line is. And that makes you conscious of, especially as a broker on my own, there are fees that occur that MLS, NARCAR, once a year, and I think this year was $1,300. And then E&O is so important for
that's the errors and
right.
emissions insurance.
If you're an agent, you're included in your broker's E&O, and that can be either monthly or twice a year. And there are operational fees, and so you are able to also get ideas from other businesses on how to monitor and how to save on different fees that you could, do you really need going forward? But make sure you don't skimp on the signs and good computer, way of reaching people, because those are the bread and butter of your business.
Yeah, and I notice you, you are excellent at that, as you head up the events committee, and you have a nice team with you that helps plan all the different events that we have within the Chamber of Commerce to help get people together, to network, to help people grow and meet their potential business owners, decision makers, and maybe they can refer people too. You crunch a lot of numbers for all these events, right?
Yes,
to make
I
sure
do.
you're saving and
yeah, because for any event, you're going to have what I call the key five: location, parking, food, and how many people can move around in that facility, and the relevance of the event. Are they going to go and go, why did I come here? Yeah, why am I here? Make sure that, it's adding value. to that person's business, whether they're a restaurant. There's so many businesses now in the chamber, a lot of coaching. They want to meet people who are receptive to their particular business profile. And the idea, and especially important when we've been dealing with the and we've learned that the crowd can easily get out of hand, and we've had one or two of those this past year. And so you learn from those and make sure that who's catering or the restaurant understands your needs, and that it's suitable food to not eat with a fork, that you're not dribbling. Like pasta dishes probably aren't the best for appetizers.
Right.
You want
you're not going to use
exactly.
The same toothpick you used to get that meatball. Now, what am I going to? We need utensils.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think one we had this past year at the Natadors, which was our contribution to the Quad Mixer series, was particularly great because it just felt like there was a lot of open air.
Yeah.
People really came back and said, wow, that was really a fun.
You can mix and mingle easily.
You could mix and mingle, and there was great scenery. And the open air of the opportunity prize drawing was really nice. And we had 4 distinct chambers there, and it just was smooth. It was a comfortable evening, and OG's was our catering. They did a great job for us. They're really very, very organized, and I think you want to make sure there's enough food, and if nothing else, water.
Yes.
And that's kind of key on my list. And make sure you walk. I do the same thing as I would in real estate. I walk around. Are you enjoying the evening?
Yeah.
And make sure that people are networking.
Customer
Those
service.
high top tables like we had last night really offer, without the chairs, a place to kind of lean, put your plate, and be able to carry a conversation on.
Yep. I like the way that's done too, because you're not with a chair. You tend to maybe camp in one spot. But with high tops, you're standing there, you mix and mingle a little bit, and then you can pick up your plate or your drink and move on to maybe another group and get to know more people that way.
Exactly. And on the premier events, and that would be the June breakfast, which really that's more senior board member who orchestrates that, and we're just part of the numbers game as far as events, and maybe seating people. But you want to make sure things will go wrong. At the June breakfast, I think we had an issue with the PA system.
PA system,
and we also had that at the Natadors after we learned our lesson at one other, and of all things, having that.
Sure.
But you try and get through it with a sense of humor, because you don't want to make anyone feel awful that it's not working correctly, and there's no time to fix it. So do the best you can.
Yeah, people just roll with it and adjust.
That was true of the women in business. We had probably 3 major things go wrong, but I don't think anybody ever picked up on it.
That's such a great event celebrating our women in business and
special.
Awards and things like that.
Yeah.
And you know what I really, one thing that I appreciate about being part of the chamber too is, I've had the few privileges helping out with the ambassadors, the membership. We had an education committee at one point. But also serving as the president. It's interesting. Some people think, oh wow, that's a really prestigious. Well, you know what? No, it's not. You're it's a privilege, but you realize that you're just working alongside all of these other beautiful committees of volunteers. We're all volunteers, and we're just getting the work done together.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful cooperative event.
And you're absolutely correct, John. You've got to have a team spirit to that. And that transfers to most businesses. It's true in real estate. You're trying to coordinate with escrow and title, and if you need to have someone come in to fix something, you want to be part of your seller team.
Yeah.
But you want to also, once you have a buyer, they're inclusive in your team. And you want to listen to their concerns.
Absolutely.
And that's true with the chamber. If one group takes off and says, no, we're not going to, participate or something, you're going, no. You have to have a team effort here. We can't do it all. And it's not a good idea to think that you are just the sole person responsible for... No, you're not.
It takes a village.
Right.
It takes a good
team. It really
team.
does. It really does. And there's so many parts to different things that, one may escalate to needs attention now and then drop to it's okay. And I got to tell you, also referrals. That's a tricky question. I feel that I really like to work with a referral, if possible, before I refer them out.
Yeah.
I had one issue in the Bay Area with a painter, and after this exchange, I said, you know what? Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were rude, did a terrible job for me. Because I would never refer you.
You made my job easy. Thank you.
Right. I'm not, that's great. You keep with your opinions and I'll keep with mine. But I think that's a safe, for me, at all costs. I try working with an escrow or a title person that's going to serve my client well.
Yeah.
And be there for them. And this day and age, it seems like every transaction in the last 5 really have had a title issue.
Yeah.
One was the trust got recorded, and you're almost like an investigator with the lawyer's title or title company that you work with. Chicago, they're all good. That you go back, and this one was so interesting that it turned out 20 years before, on a Christmas Eve, the trust was recorded on the property in the wrong name.
Oh.
And it kept popping up, and it took 10 days and 2 lawyers diving in, and we finally figured it out. And that was at no cost to my client because we were under that title company's umbrella.
Right.
And so that's why you choose the people you do to work with.
Yes.
And they need to be there to help you through these situations. And that's true of a painter. You want quality people to be in your seller's home, whether they're living there or they're not.
Yep.
And you want them to be respectful of your client. I think respect and kindness are really key to me in my practice.
Yeah, that served you well.
Yeah,
served
and
you well.
At one time we had as a team, we had a $10 million property, and at the same time, I had a $350 condo, and they each got my attention. Because that's the biggest price tag that either of those people had in their life. And you don't rate them as, oh, well, this one deserves less time. You
give great treatment.
Exactly, and respectful.
Yeah, no, that's good. And thank you for sharing, a little bit, too, about your chamber experience. And on behalf of the board of directors, being a fellow member with you, we're grateful for all that you do, Joan.
Oh, thank you.
You have a stellar reputation for volunteerism, for leading up and corralling other volunteers to help so that they can have the same good feeling of what it takes. And, sometimes a side benefit, other than just feeling great about volunteering and helping, is it can help grow our business. It can help us get some of that extra notoriety that, maybe we wouldn't normally get. But by helping other people and being focused on helping others grow their business, people realize, oh, wow, that Joan, she is involved in everything helping others. When I need her, or I know somebody that needs her, I'm coming to her, So we're grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I enjoy volunteering, and I think that it has to feel as though you're gaining knowledge of other situations. I think South County outreach is a perfect example. You meet people from that organization, and you see them helping so many people in different situations. Not every situation is bad, but there are a lot of people who are struggling, and I think I struggle to fill the shoes of all my jobs in my organization, my work, my you can call it volunteer work with my grandson and my granddaughter, and just helping and trying to maintain a level and a sense of humor is really helpful.
That's important.
Right, exactly. And you have to say to yourself, is it really necessary that I do this right now? My dog really wants to go for a walk.
Sure.
And you kind of park it and try and take care of each person.
Sure.
And hopefully that creates your happy place.
Yeah.
Because I think helping someone who could really use your help is very rewarding, because you maybe put them on a different level. I was very nearsighted when I was a teenager, and would be vain enough not to put my glasses on. And people would say to me, I waved to you and you didn't say hi back. And so I guess it was sort of my little mantra. And I do it to this day. No matter where I am, I say hi to people. They're walking by me. Hi, how's your day going? Because I think it just, sometimes you'll meet someone, maybe you're the only one that says good morning to them. How's it going today? And actually, if they say something back and you stop and listen, they're grateful. Maybe it puts a different spin on their day. And so, just kind of take care of the world.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier CAR and NAR, National Association of Realtors. That's been a hot topic the last couple years now, almost.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe we'd just spend a couple minutes on that. Yes, it's a hot topic. What are your thoughts on what's going on? And
it is a hot topic, and I think the result is that there are a lot of changes in the real estate world and how we conduct business, especially from the buyer's side. There's no longer a printed or noted percent of commission for the buyer. It's not on MLS, and it's not in the contract. And so you're looking for ways to figure out how you best fit into that, and how that is going to impact your open houses, and how it's going to impact your business. I've always believed in being both a buyer and a seller agent and broker, just because I like the variety, and leases and commercial leases, because they all play a part in your business as a whole. I think that some of the changes were necessary. And for probably 10 years, we've talked about a buyer's agent agreement. Mm-hmm. And you can be working with a buyer for 2 or 3 months, and then if you don't have a committed document, they can walk away.
Sure.
And
Thanks for showing me those
yeah,
15
that's
houses,
you know,
you know, and
and I've right, exactly, and it can be very depressing and
Sure.
and sad when that happens. And I've had it happen to clients and friends that were clients, and I know other realtors have too. I think for some people who've been in the business for 20, 25 years, they are finding it very discouraging. Life happens. And I think that part of that is just growing with the change. And that's why I really spend time myself and tell other agents who are just getting in the field, you've got to become familiar with the changes. And do attend broker meetings, do attend webinars, because you'll see a variety. And the questions, especially in a webinar where there's a question and answer period, maybe you have a question and you don't know how to ask it. You'll see a response. They'll address it. And if not, send it in. Don't be embarrassed to ask questions.
Right. There's no dumb questions.
Right. And, you know, it's better to have a good answer than to not ask the question and give someone really awful information.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm hoping that as we work through this, that we'll see some changes that are for the better. But there are a lot of forms that have changed. So if you used a certain form, be familiar. Addendums, seller request to perform to a buyer, buyer request to perform to a seller. Those are all important as we navigate through a transaction. And I always try and have a backup offer. I feel very nervous when I don't, because things can go wrong. So that's my suggestion. Just keep educated, keep a schedule. I do my schedule for the next week on a Friday afternoon and stick to it. Make calls in the morning if you're fresher in the morning. Take classes in the morning. Try and find something that makes you happy during the day, whether it be an iced tea or
something to look
a
forward
walk.
to.
Yeah, because it contributes to your overall feeling of calmness and a direction. And you want to really put that out there. I'm in charge. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, take the walk, learn each day. And I do this at the end of the day. What did I learn? Learn something every day. I'll read something and I'll think, oh, I didn't know that. And I think that's really important in your overall how people see you. And if you're meeting new people, you want them to see that confidence.
Yeah. And I think that really dovetails into our final question there, too, is, a lot of people, we talked about this before, in our profession, in real estate and lending, over the last year and a half, pushing 2 years, when, the market and the applications, I know on our side, the applications slowed up greatly when the rates took a hike. And we had to pivot. We had to make adjustments in there. And unfortunately, a lot of people in real estate left the business. A lot of our lenders closed up shop. They left the business.
Yeah.
What advice, Joan, would you have? I know you mentioned some of those things for your own mental wellness. Take care of yourself, do something that makes you happy, so now you're rejuvenated to help others, have a good schedule. But what advice would you have for others who are trying to stick it out and be successful in real estate?
I think to really focus on gaining as much information about what is happening in our industry today. Not 4 years ago sales,
Yeah.
but today. And the two things that I have focused on are, I think I'd mentioned to you, I follow on LinkedIn. She does both informational and webinars. She is the chief economist for NAR in market research. And I follow her because she seems to have good statistics, and those can empower you if you meet somebody and they say, well, there's just no properties available.
You can speak intelligently
right,
with
yes,
numbers.
you can
yeah,
say,
data.
yeah. And one of the Jessica,
That's
Lutz.
okay.
Yes,
I know we wrote
Jessica.
it down. Yeah.
Her name, Dr. Jessica Lutz, and
yeah.
one of her things is understanding who is our buyer today.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, one of the higher percentages of buyers they are very successful are women, single women who are buying their first property, and they have saved, they understand where they're getting their loan. They're really savvy.
Yes,
and,
they are.
They have increased by 22%.
Wow.
And men at that same age are at about 11%.
Okay.
So for me, being a numbers person, I like her statistics. And her other group that she really said, this is a good portion of your buyers. And this is on the national level, not just California. Plus 55, still working or retired. And they have grown children, and these grown children maybe have moved to Texas, Colorado, Arizona, and they are following the grandbabies. And they want to be part of their kids' lives still. They want to be part of this grandchild's life. And they are not sizing down in most cases.
Upsizing in some
They're
cases, yeah.
upsizing because they want a home for their kids and grandkids to feel comfortable in, have room to move. And in some cases, they are offering next level of childcare. And
Interesting.
it's a different view than
It
we
is.
had when I came into business.
At that age, people were downsizing, right? Right-sizing. They're
Right.
get rid of the big house and all the extra
Exactly.
work, and let's get what we need. The kids are out on their own now.
Right.
Yeah.
And also families, both people working is how to make this mortgage payment. So they may have a nanny. And so they need another area for their nanny to, if they have a live-in, or to be able to have a safe community to live in where their nanny feels comfortable walking or doing things with the kids, offered classes, etc. I think that starting in 2025, January has always been a slower month, but I think what we were talking about earlier, actually the mortgage rates were a bit higher last week.
Yes.
And yet, on the other side, mortgage applications skyrocketed.
Yep. they
And
did.
so, how do you level that out into the real estate community? I think February is usually a great month for introducing a property and for buyers being prepared. And I think that gets in your category.
Yeah.
If you are a buyer, you've got to visit a lender first.
Yes.
I don't want to assume I know what level of dollar amount you want to look at.
You wanna
And
see
why
a-
do I take you
A
to
document that says, look at this.
Exactly.
This is what they're
Right.
pre-approved for.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. And John, what's the term for going the extra mile, for having extra underwriting?
DU pre-approval.
Yes.
So they call that desktop underwriter. And what that does is it takes it to a different level. In fact, what I still see out there, Joan, which scares me sometimes. But I asked somebody, I said, "Oh, have you been pre-approved?" "Oh, yeah, I did." I said, "Would you mind if I saw that letter?" And at the top, it'll say pre-qualification letter. And then down below, it says, "All of this is subject to us reviewing your complete financial position." I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what a seller's agent or a buyer's agent, but a seller's agent wants to see. Oh, they haven't been pre-approved yet. They've been pre-qualified based on maybe a conversation.
Exactly.
Oh, they say our credit's this. They say we make this amount of money. So to go the deeper level, as you mentioned, we gather all the information. We take extra time for pre-approval. We analyze everything thoroughly, run it through our software systems as well as an underwriter to say, yes, this, and that, we're willing to lend this amount. And barring there's no changes with any of this information and their employment, all that, we're going to lend this amount. Take them shopping. That's the level of confidence that any lender should be providing today, not just a basic pre-qualification lender. No agent should accept that.
No. When you're presenting offers to a seller, you could say with confidence, this offer may be a little lower, but this buyer has gone the extra mile to have this special added, which will smooth the transaction.
Oh, so much more.
And, there won't be these hiccups.
No.
That being said, we have so many cultures and that are participating in this real estate market. You have to make them aware that even though they are a second cousin once removed from the seller, you can't come in with a $20,000 under offer.
No.
Maybe if they're your brother, but not so
maybe.
sure.
Maybe.
So, be realistic.
Sure.
And do listen to your agent because they're there to guide you. Generally, we try and have a conversation with the buyer's agent. And that has actually eased up a bit with the newer restrictions. Right now, how many offers do you think you have coming in or do you have on the table? It's a common question.
Yeah.
And, you want to be able to say, about 3. I don't know if I'd ever say 0, but, that's between me and my sellers.
Right.
But I always try and be equal and fair and also stay within the boundaries of what you're allowed to say.
Yeah.
One thing that I do, and it's just me, I do call those who did not make the cut for the seller.
Yeah.
And so
important.
many agents are like, "Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you give me some edification on where?" And
what could we have done better, perhaps? Where give them some.
And I try
input.
and do that. Not divulge but at least give parameters.
Sure.
Of well, maybe you might want to be stronger in this area, and for me, it's just I know how I feel. If you never hear back from them, it's like they don't care enough that you put an offer in.
That's right.
And it's a gentleman's business.
Keep
it up there. I hope to think it is.
Yeah, that's such good advice. And I know for me on the lending side, I always want to meet the seller's agent, whether it's via phone or if it's convenient, we can meet somewhere. But I want them to feel comfortable with the other side because generally speaking, they may be working through the buyer's agent. But if both parties are agreeable, I say there's an open door here. And, there's certain things that, I'm going to go to the buyer's agent first about that and say, hey, do you mind if I share this with them or would you like to share? But I like that open door policy where that seller's agent the listing agent, they can feel comfortable calling me direct and say, hey, I got your pre-approval. I had a couple questions on it. Great.
Right.
Let's answer them. Let's make sure you're comfortable. And then it also gives me an opportunity to edify the buyer's agent. To say, look, I've worked with this buyer's agent before on several transactions. She is known for this, this, and that. And she has a stellar record of service, and she will do everything to close this on time and be an excellent communicator. So those are the things that I do as a lender to build confidence.
Right.
And especially if they've never worked together before, which happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
It really does. And that's when the next day after we've confirmed an offer, the two calls, one to escrow, because I usually don't open it but make them aware
Yeah.
that I do have an offer that's imminent, and also a call to the lender.
Yeah.
Introduce myself and say, how
Important.
comfortable do you feel
Yeah.
with, especially with the timing. I think that was crucial last year, where you'd get an offer for 20 days. And I want to call you, lender, and
Yeah.
say, hey, are you really going to do
can
this
you
in
do
20
this?
days? Say it now, because,
Yeah.
we want to make escrow aware of that. And I think that it just keeps the whole transaction calm and friendly.
Yeah.
If I
Set the right expectations too.
Right.
Everybody's transparent. Just makes things work smoother.
transparency is really important, and
Yeah.
being able to keep your word is even more important.
Ooh, those are things that set agents, lenders, title, escrow, everybody apart. When somebody has a reputation for being transparent, honest, available, you can reach them.
Yes.
Those are factors that set people apart, and those are the people we choose to work with.
Right, exactly. That's the word.
important.
Yeah. Let's go get a transaction.
Right,
Right.
Well, Joan, thank you so much for joining today. The mindset of a champion. I feel like I've been in the presence of a champion in your field as a family person too. I know how well you take care of your family, but your clients, how you take care of them. You have the mindset of a champion, and a champion looks after the best interest of their clients. And I truly
Hopefully,
appreciate you.
yes.
Oh, you do. I know you have that reputation.
Thank you.
And everything in the chamber that we talked about too. So thank you so much for joining today.
thank
I look
you for the
forward to
opportunity.
sending you referrals, and also it's great working with you on a day-to-day in the chamber too.
Same here. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.